Welcome, everybody. We have an outstanding guest joining us today, and I'm going to introduce him to you in just a minute. But first, I want to share a word from our sponsors. The Pressing the Limits podcast is brought to you by ZionMissionaryChurch.net, where you can listen and watch messages, you can share your prayer requests, or even find out how to plan a visit. And also by the newly updated NeuroPowerSource.com. These are resources for your mind, your body, and your spirit. You'll find all the recommended gear that I use, including the Be Strong bands, the Juve system, and the Iron Neck. You'll be sure to want to check it out. Our guest today is Billy Blanks. Billy is a 7th degree black belt, a 7-time world karate champion, and a member of the Karate Hall of Fame. As a captain of the United States karate team, he won over 30 gold medals. He has appeared in numerous movies and television shows. Billy is the inventor of Tybo as well as Boomboxing systems, which combine martial arts training into fitness programs and protocols that are used by people all over the world. Welcome to the show, Mr. Billy Blanks.
How you doing? I'm glad to be here.
Hey,
can I say one other thing before we start, too?
Sure.
Also, I'm a 9th degree black belt in Tae Kwon Do.
9th degree black belt. We got to get your bio fixed, brother.
Yeah, I mean, it's fixed. I think y'all might have got one just way behind.
Okay.
I'm a 9th degree black belt in Tae Kwon Do, and I'm a 7th degree black belt in Shotokan karate, but I'm 7 different styles of martial arts. But, you know, I've been training since I'm 11 years old, so it's truly a blessing. So, anyway.
That's awesome. So, you know, he is even more amazing than the bio says. That's what you got to remember, people. So it's fantastic. And, you know, when you think about becoming that 9th degree, you know, we want to go back for a little bit because you have quite an inspirational story of how things all got started. Can you share with us some of the setbacks that you had to overcome while growing up?
You know, growing up, I grew up with a learning disorder, but I didn't know what that learning disorder was until I turned 35 years old. I just knew that as a child, I had a hard time in school with reading and spelling and things like that because I had dyslexia. And I didn't find that out until I was 35, man. I was in a parking lot one day, and I was trying to read the sign. This person heard me read the sign and said, "You read that sign again." I read it again. We had a little argument. But I said, you know, I'm reading it right, you're reading it wrong. But when I looked at it straight, I was leaving words out, turning things backwards. And I only exposed myself because I felt like it was a karate sign. So because I knew karate, I would expose, I can do that. So, but in turn, it showed that I had dyslexia. And growing up as a kid, you know, people thought I was mentally handicapped. And I wasn't handicapped. I was just a kid that had a learning disorder that was very shy. And, you know, being shy and having a learning disorder on top of that kind of put you in a little closet. You know, I felt like I was in the closet. And then I got an opportunity to get involved with a karate program. And, you know, and when I first started, my teacher also said, you know, I bet you $5 you don't stick it out, you know. And with that, I stuck it out. Right now, I'm a 9th degree black belt, and he doesn't even practice martial arts anymore. So, you know, it was just some things that gave me the motivation to want to be able to get better and be better as a person. Through that, you know, who'd ever think I'll be sitting here talking to you, man? I mean, a long time ago, growing up as a kid from 1st grade all the way to, you know, graduating from high school, I had a hard time. But karate opened up the door. It gave me a chance to see a light that I didn't get a chance to see before. And now I'm sitting here talking to you.
Yeah, and if people don't know, you came from a really large family. You were the 4th of 15 kids, and I understand you might have had some tendon issues too. And physically,
yes, I had a hip. Actually, growing up, I had a hip that was already ready to go. I had a bad hip as a young kid, but I just kept doing what I needed to do to be an athlete. Just went through the pain. And then eventually, at 6 years old, I got my hip replaced, you know, and I felt like, man, I wish I would have known about hip replacements back then. But, you know, being able to go through what I've gone through, I think it's taught me discipline, taught me focus, knowing that in good times, even going through good times, you're going to go through sorrow, you know, and through that, if you can find some joy and peace along the way, it's going to make the sorrow even be better. And now I think because of that, I'm sitting here talking to you, and I can help people.
Yeah, and it's awesome. So Let's step back for a little bit. What was your inspiration to get into martial arts? I understand that you started out, Bruce Lee might have been one of your inspirations. Tell us about how you got started into karate.
Well, my inspiration was I used to box at first, and I grew up in a bad neighborhood, and growing up in a bad neighborhood, I didn't need to hear, no, when you hit somebody, you gotta knock them out, be like a shark, you gotta really attack, and I saw that all my life, So my goal was, I saw the Green Hornet show, Bruce Lee on TV, and I saw the discipline and the focus that he had with his mind controlling his body. And I went, man, I want to take karate, and at the time, I had 15 brothers and sisters, so my mother and father couldn't afford to send me to a karate class. So they built a youth center. And once they built the youth center down the street from my house, I went down there and ended up joining, the martial arts studio. And once I ended up joining the martial arts studio, I started seeing the focus that Bruce Lee, when I saw on TV, I started seeing that coming within myself. I would go out in the backyard, I'd practice. I would do all the things that I saw Bruce Lee do. And my goal was to, I want to be able to do the things that Bruce Lee has done to show his focus and control. So I got involved with karate. And when I got involved with karate, that was it. And a light switch came on. And for me, it wasn't about beating up people. It was about finding my own self as a person, self-preservation, being able to know that I can be successful. My dad always told me, he said, Billy, nobody's going to ever give you anything for nothing. And if they do, there's always something behind it. Just remember, hard work pays off. And I just kept those ethics, and kept going. I can tell you some stories that, that I had to go through in my life that most people probably would have quit, but I didn't quit. I just stayed focused.
Yeah, and that's a big thing, with this whole overcoming, which we'll talk about in a little bit. How did you go about creating Tybo? I mean, how did that all come about? We were talking a little bit earlier. You are the father of this whole, television workout, the home system. You were the first one on the scene to create this high energy system. So how did all that come about?
Well, it's always been a dream. I have 5 sisters in my family, and it was always been a dream to get my sisters to get involved with karate. When you start talking to them about karate, they didn't want to do karate because they had to put on a karate uniform. It was too much discipline. And then when you talk to women, when I had my studio, talk to females about coming to karate, they didn't want to do it. So what I did was 1975, when Rocky came out, I took that theme song and I made the United States karate team. I went and I won. I became the first American who ever won a national title. And then I wanted to get in better shape, right? So I went down to my basement and I put this music on. And as I put the music on, I started moving to the music. And I said, within 2 to 3 minutes, I was national champion. I was cardiovascular tired. And I felt like at that time, I was in pretty good shape for martial artists. Physically, I looked like it on the outside, but in the inside, I was cardiovascular, not in good shape. And so what happened was a dance instructor found out after I had won a national title, a dance instructor, her name was, I don't want to say her name, but she's over 76 years old. She came to me and said, Billy, can we use you to help draw people to the theater? I said, yeah, what do you want me to do? She says, we want you to play the Russian dancer in the Nutcracker. I said, I don't know ballet. How am I going to, play the Russian dancer in the Nutcracker, right? So I end up, learning the Nutcracker. It took me like 6 months. I learned the dance that I was supposed to learn. And at the same time that I was doing that, I was learning how to count music because they teach you how to count music. And with the workout, I needed to learn how to put stuff to music. And so I did the Nutcracker. It came out pretty well. I ended up dancing for almost 12 years, in ballet, and learned a lot about ballet. It made me a better martial artist, more flexible. That really helped me out with my tendons because I got a chance to learn how to stretch. But through that, I started putting these little things together with Tybo. And when I first came out with it, right, when I first came out with the cardio martial arts, I call it aerobics. I took the word, K off of karate and then use aerobics. So I called it aerobics. So that when I first started, that's what it was called. And then eventually, I feel like God put me in a place, right? And he told me to change the name and to call it Tybo. So I wrote Tybo down and put it in my wallet. And I put it in my pocket. I said, one day I'm going to use the word Tybo for a workout. And I moved to California and I started teaching in my garage. And I said, I was teaching aerobics at the time. I did a couple things on TV where it was called aerobics. And this one lady came up to me. She said, hey, man, I think, Billy, you should make this like the martial arts stuff you take. So she said, your style of martial arts is Tae Kwon Do. So why don't you create something? So I just took the word take from Tae Kwon Do. I took the word bo from boxing. I said, I'm going to call it Tybo. And through that, I said, I'm going to make it an acronym because, you know, it was a hard time. I had a hard time learning. So I took the letter T and it stands for take. I take the letter A, it stands for action. Take the letter E, it stands for execute. Take the letter B, bodyguard. Take the letter O, obedience. Take action, execute, be a bodyguard of your life, and overcome the obstacle. That's what Tybo represents.
Yeah, I love that. And who would have ever thought that Tybo, people are going to be blown away to find out that the roots were not just in martial arts, but ballet.
Ballet, exercising, calisthenics. It was, man, whatever I could draw from, because I know when you talk about women exercising, but not guys at the time, but women. Women like to do things that you can fuse together so they can get the best workout and in their time, you know, because most moms, they taking care of kids, they cleaning their house, they really don't have the time. And so when I created Tybo in the basement. And, you know, it's so awesome because I created Tybo in the basement, and then from the basement, it went into my garage, and from my garage, it went into a little private studio. And then from that point on, it just took off and went around the world into a video that changed the whole life of a lot of people.
Yeah. Did you ever imagine, you know, you talk about God, you know, putting you and setting that into your heart. Did you ever imagine at the time when you put that little piece of paper down in there that it would ever grow into what it's grown into today? Did you have that vision?
I'm serious. People ask me that question, right? I go, you know, I could look at what was happening in my studio. I would see people would come into my classes. People would line up around the block. People would get there at 4 o'clock in the morning with blankets on and be waiting outside the door until we got there to open up the studio. So my studio opened up at 6 o'clock in the morning. 4 o'clock, people were out there with blankets around them. And then when I opened up that studio, it was like lines around the block to get into that studio. People were like, I want to go work out at Billy Blank's studio. You know, that's where everybody's saying if you want to get in shape, you got to go there. And you know what? The studio was not this plush place. It wasn't a place that, wow, this looks beautiful. When I opened up that studio, I couldn't even afford carpet. So where did I get the carpet? I went to a dumpster. And I got it out of a dumpster. And I took it and I scrubbed it down. And I went and got some duct tape and I glued it around the walls. That's how I started my studio off. And then eventually I walked into this place called Busybody. You know what the Busybody is. I walked into there and I said, hey, I want to buy some equipment. At the time I couldn't afford it. And I said, he said, but I can buy this piece and I can buy this piece. And I bought some, little cheap weights. And I said, the guy says, you just stay focused like you're doing, Billy. And I said, okay, yeah, one day I'm going to walk in, I'm going to buy a gym. I'm going to come in here, I'm going to buy a whole gym. And you know what? That day came to pass. It came to pass through hard work, focusing, not giving up. And I can say there's been some times in my life where I could have said, you know what, I'm done. But I didn't do it because I know God had a purpose for me. And see, my big thing is that sometimes people don't want to hear it, But I always say if it wasn't for me understanding who Christ was in my life, I would not be doing what I'm doing. And if I didn't understand who Christ was in my life, I would not understand how to humble myself, to what's going on with my life right now. Because I believe the only reason why Tybo is still successful is because God is first. Everything else is secondary to it.
How did you come? Can you share that? How you came to know and have faith in Jesus Christ as your personal Lord and Savior?
And when I first started, I grew up in a church. As a kid, we had to go to church. 15 brothers and sisters. My mom and dad took us to church. And I said, when I turn 18, I'm never going to church again. That's where it was for me because I was always scared. When I went to church, I was always scared. The preacher made me scared instead of making me a person that, man, I love Jesus Christ. I was scared of Jesus more than loving him, right? And then one day I moved here to California at the same time that I was creating Tybo. I moved to California and I saw this guy on TV. And I went back to my studio and I asked some people and said, hey, you guys know where this church is? So it was an 18-year-old boy. He said, I know where it is. It's down by my house. You want to go to it? I said, yeah, take me to the church. And at the time, I'm telling you, I was in need. I was in need for something to help me because I felt like when I won the world championship, when you do something that's pretty big, you feel like something happens to you, right? I was looking for something to change. When I won the championship, I was like, wow, I didn't get that feeling. And so I went back and I won the world championship 7 times. And I was trying to get a feeling from it. I thought from what I seen on TV, I saw people like whoa, and I felt good winning it, but it didn't make me different as a person, right? And so I went to this church and I heard this guy speak on faith. And at the same time I was coming in, I had did some martial arts movies. I made a little bit of money in martial arts movies, action movies, and then I still wasn't happy as a person. And heard that minister talk about how to take faith and put it in action and let God take your steering wheel and let God rule your life. And man, I was sitting back in the back. I was crying like a baby. I said, that's what I need. I need something like Jesus Christ in my life, right? And when he said at the end of the benediction, he said, anybody want to give their life to Christ? I ran down. People knew who I was. I didn't care. That was something that I needed. So I ran down and gave my life to Christ. And when I gave my life to Christ, my whole life changed. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go home. I tried to get my wife to go to church. She said, I'm not going to church. So I had to be the doer. And then she saw me. And she saw me change. And she said, one day, take me to that church. Then my daughter and my sons, same thing. They saw me become this totally different person. I surrendered to Christ and my life changed. And then one day I went to church. Pastor said, you should go to Bible study. I said, okay. So I went to Bible study. And when I was there, he was talking about what does God think of fitness? And so I was writing down all the things in the scriptures about what God thinks of fitness. And I said, you know what? That's how I'm going to teach Tybo. I'm going to teach Tybo according to biblical principles. And then went out, we shot our first video. When I went and got an opportunity to do my first video, I got called by some of the biggest video companies in the world, man. And when I went and did that, I sat down in some meetings. When I'm not going to mention any names, but they went like this. They said, Billy, they asked me to come, right? And I went, they said, Billy, we don't think we can do a video with you. I said, why? They said, well, we don't think you will work in the Midwest because you're black. Right. And I said, listen to me. If fitness is about me being the color of my skin, then I shouldn't not be doing it anyway. If that's what people are going to be looking at, then I should not be that kind of coach. Right. So I said, thank you guys for the opportunity. So I picked up my stuff and me and my manager and we walked out. My manager said, Billy, I can't believe they said that to you. I'm sorry for taking you here. But that's okay. God want me to do a video. It'll happen. And you know what? I went back to my studio, kept teaching and within 3 to 4 weeks, some guy, he was country bunking. He came in and he sat down and he watched me teach a class. He said, hey, after the class, he said, hey, I'm a fan of yours. Can you sign it? I said, sure, I'd love to sign it. He said, but what I want to talk to you about is doing a video. He said, would you like to do a video? I said, yeah, I would love to do a video. And from that, I said, where are you from? The guy said, I'm from Ohio. He's from the Midwest. Somebody from the Midwest, what I was told I wouldn't work in the Midwest, came from the Midwest, gave me an opportunity to do a video. He put it out, and then the rest is history.
Man, that fires me up because you've overcome so much, and just the fact that even the racial thing, that just,
I'm
shocked to hear that. That just it's disappointing, but at the same time, it just shows the testament to overcoming and saying, I'm not going to let that hold me back.
Right. And why is negativity in the world? Take negativity out of the world. What would happen? People would be bored. So I felt like with the negativity in my life, all it did was drive. Negativity can drive positive, but positive cannot drive negativity. So I just used it to help me out. I think another thing that when I went to that church too for the first time, I sat there. You know what this pastor said? He said for 28 years, God had been speaking to him that one day somebody going to walk in this church and give me $1 million. And I felt like God was talking to me, right? I said, let's get that man $1 million. And my wife went like, you don't got no $1 million. Where are you going to get that from? Well, I believe that God was speaking to me. And I kept it in my heart. I didn't tell the pastor anything. I just kept going. I told my secretary, take me off of Tuesday night. I want to go to Bible study. I want to study. I want to learn about God. What did God feel about me? How Jesus Christ loves me. How can he help me change myself as a person? And then I got to the point where, I want to teach like Christ. I had some good martial arts instructors, but I want to teach the love of people. I want to teach the heart of people. So I learned that and I started teaching. And then a year later, I said, Pastor, you remember when you said one day somebody going to walk into church and give you $1 million? I walked up and I gave him an envelope. And I walked down, sat down. I didn't tell him what it was. I just gave him an envelope. I said, here. And then he opened it up, and it was $1 million. And who would ever think, if you looked at me in my past, I came from the projects in the basement, who would ever think that I would be able to walk into that church one day and get that man $1 million? Well, I felt like God was speaking to me. And because I took it on, look at what God has done. And, there's some ups and downs. You're always going to be shifting, I'm not no perfect person. I just know that I love Jesus Christ. I want Jesus Christ to be a exciting thing in my life. And so when I do talk about whatever I do, I got to always expose them, because if I don't expose them, then I'm hiding them, and I'm hiding the goodness that happened, why I got to where I am, and why, even if I fall, why I got a chance to come back and still do the things that I do.
Man, that gives me goosebumps. Why I call them God bumps. When the Holy Spirit's working, man, I tell you what. And just want to touch on a couple things, and I think it's important for the listeners to hear what you were saying, is that a lot of times people get the thing that they've dreamed of, but it's not fulfilling without Christ. When you're talking about, you've won the world championships, you had it all, but yet it wasn't what you thought it would be. And I think that's a major issue today, is that people, they're chasing this dream or that dream, and they finally get what they think was going to fulfill them, but it doesn't. Can you speak anything to that, or you think you see a lot of that today?
Yeah, that's what, like just like you said, I thought that I was going to be fulfilled in the things that, doing movies, I thought I was going to be fulfilled. Making some money, I thought I was going to be fulfilled. Wasn't. I didn't have any peace. I might have had a car. I might have had some money that I could pay some bills. I might have, I could do anything I want to do, but what I didn't have was that fulfillment of knowing where I was going to go at the end of time, who truly, truly loved me. Do you know what I mean? But when I learned the history of what Jesus Christ thinks of Billy Blanks, say, what does God think of you? I didn't know. Somebody asked me that question, Billy, what does God think of you? I don't know. He wants me to go to heaven. But that's all I knew. I didn't know all this other stuff. God so loved the world, he gave his only son so I can have a chance to be the best that I can be, to serve and do things that I need to do to help myself be the best. Other people in life, I just know that God made us all. We all special people. And if you look at, we all are special people, you won't look at the downfalls that people try to make you. One thing I learned about the word of God is, if you listen to what people say, they always told me that I was going to be a bum, a drunk. I was never going to be successful. You know what I mean? But, excuse me, I'm sorry. I didn't know from what people said, who would ever think I was going to be successful? When I read the Bible and I started looking, what does God think of you? When I started looking at what God thought of me, my fulfillment started to come. My salvation, I understood why Jesus gave his life to give me an opportunity to be the best I can be. And I didn't go to Christ just to go to heaven. I went to Christ because I wanted to have a better life. I wanted to have a peaceful life. I wanted to have a life where, no matter if struggle, I tell my clients all the time, in the midst of struggle, find some joy, because there's always going to be struggle. Jesus went to the cross. He died. I saw the sorrow that he went through. But at the end of time, he went like this: Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. I still love them. I got my hands out, reaching out, helping, wanting them to do what they need to do. I mean, oh my God, that guy did that for me. When you start looking at that person that did that for you, then it makes you go, surrender yourself. No matter how much money you have, if you don't have peace within yourself, money don't mean anything. Cars, houses, don't mean anything. But when you start to have that peace within yourself, understanding who God is in your life, then you start to look at people as people, and you make a change and you do good things.
Yeah, and another thing I love is that, you don't put any limits on God. When God spoke that to your heart, that you're going to be that man that gives the $1 million, you know that, you serve a big God and that there's no limitations. And I love hearing that story of how you've been all in with what God's called you to do.
And it's true. And I tell people all the time, I say, look, if you look at yourself, you're going to put all kinds of limitations on you. But look and see if God puts a limitation. I tell people this. I say, there's a scripture in the Bible, God goes like this. I said, now think about this. And look how many people you done gave this opportunity to, and they let you down. I said, but look, I learned the scripture. God says, try me and see if I don't open up the heavens and bless you with so much that you won't have enough room to be able to handle what I'm about to throw on you. So I always ask people, I said, what's he talking about? He gonna give me so much that I can't handle. Why would God give me so much that I can't handle? You know what he's telling me? Move to the side and let me handle your life and watch and see what happens to your life. I guarantee you, you won't go backwards. You're gonna go forward. But give me that opportunity. And I say to people, look how many people you didn't try it out. Look how many times you didn't went backwards. I said, I've done it several times. And even with God in my life, you have a tendency to go, oh, you slip. When you like going to the gym, if you don't work out for like a week, you slip. Yep. Same thing with reading the Bible. If you don't get into that word and get that word inside you where it's coming out of you like your natural word, you slip and you go backwards. And then you have to work your way back up. And that's what I love about the Bible, because God said a just man will fall 7 times, but he'll rise again because he has a foundation. So when I tell people and I say, hey, why not? You ain't got nothing to lose. Give Jesus a chance. You ain't got nothing to lose. You can always go back and be what you used to be. If that's what you want to do, go ahead and go backwards. But I know that you don't want to go backwards. You want to go forward in life. So give God that opportunity and watch and see what happens.
Yeah, and it's so amazing. You talk about just overcoming all these things. God put a seed in your heart, dream in your life. And one of the things I love is that people that are listening, they can understand today that there really is no excuses. If God put something in your heart, I love that you went and you bought carpet out, or you got carpet out of the dumpster. You got it cleaned and put it on the walls. So many people say, I'll start when this happens or if this happens. And one of the messages that I take from Tybo and from you is that start now. Don't wait. Do with what you have, and more will be added unto you.
That's right, man. And that's what the word says. If, like I said, abundantly. Why does God use the word abundantly? I mean, that's, to me, he's telling me, Billy, I'm going to bless you with so much of you be so abundantly where you need to be. And who created who created the world? God created the world. So everything in the world, God wanted me to have it. He wouldn't have, if he didn't want me to have it, he wouldn't have put it here. All he's asking me to do is be faithful to who gave you what you have. And I always tell people, I said, look, God is so awesome. I try to do my best to be honest with people, and I don't tell people what to believe in. I said, but let me ask you this question. What's the most powerful thing in the world? What would you say?
Me personally?
What would you say?
God.
What would
God,
you say?
the creator of the world, the one who created it.
Okay. So I'm going to take God out the picture. I always tell people, let me take God out the picture. I'm going to ask you, what's the most powerful thing in the world?
I would say your human spirit, the spirit inside of you.
Okay. I think that's powerful too. But I'm talking about the world. What's the most powerful thing in the world?
Well, money makes the world go round.
So people say money. So I say, if I take $1 million and lay it in that corner, is it powerful? No. So money don't make the world powerful. Money makes you powerful, but whatever you do with it, it's going to make you either what you don't want to be or what you do want to be. So I always say, for me, the most powerful thing in the world, and always, because I want to bring God back in the picture, I always say I'm going to take it out because some people don't believe in God. They don't believe God can do certain things for them. So I ask them a question. I say the most powerful thing in the world to me is words. Why? They go, Billy, why do you say words? Well, let me ask you a question. Who words do you believe the most? Your own. Who words do you know the most? Your own. Have you ever said this out loud? I don't know why I'm going to that job interview. I ain't going to get it. I'm too uncoordinated. That's too hard for me. You're right. You cannot surpass your own understanding. So when you talk about words, you're right. Words are powerful. Now, let me ask you this question. How did God create the world?
Absolutely. Speaking things into existence.
He spoke it into existence. Could you imagine God speaking the whole world into existence? And I always tell people, you always hear people say the word happened by a big boom, right? I said, well, God went like this. Let there be light. Boom. There it was. Let there be this. Boom. There it was. Those were the big booms that everybody was talking about. God was speaking and things were happening. So then he went like this. I said, could you imagine? God did this. God said, let us create man in our own image according to our likeness. Could you imagine? Let us create man in our own image according to our likeness. So I always ask people, who God talking to? Because there ain't nobody there. Who is he talking to right now? And then people say, maybe he's talking to angels. He's talking to us. I said, well, we're not even there yet. He goes, so I said, well, think about it. God's talking to God the Father, God the Son, God the Holy Spirit, a three-part person, right? I said, now, how did he make us? He made us a spirit, a soul, and a body. He made us a three-part person. So now I said, think about this. When God says, I love you, he speak it out of his mouth. Then he made us in his likeness. So I said, everything that you say out of your mouth will come to life because God made you like him. Yep. So thoughts, ideas, and suggestions, you have to watch how they pop in your head because eventually you're going to speak a word. And when you speak a word is like a seed. And if you speak that word, those seeds turn into life. So if I'm speaking negativity every day, then I got to know that my life cannot go forward. If I'm around people that's speaking negative to me, I got to know that my life cannot go forward. I got to be able to learn how to put blocks up that when things come into my ears, I don't let it live in my heart so I can't make it to where I want to go. So I always tell people, that's why I say, let me take God out the picture, and then I want to bring him back because God created the world by speaking it into existence. And I said in the book of Proverbs, it said, death and life is in the power of the tongue. And those who love it, I love this. God says those who love it will get its fruit. Could you imagine fruit? Why is he mentioning fruit? Because fruit is a seed. And they grow. And that's what gave me power and that's what gave me strength. Every day I get up, that's what gives me power and gives me strength. I mean, who would ever think, I'll be 65 in a couple of months. Who would ever think that God would be allowing me to still be out there among all these things that are created? He still gives me an opportunity to be one of the number one exercises in the world because of the foundation.
Absolutely. And I love the whole concept of now he's speaking things into existence, but people have to understand that what they're saying is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The way the laws that God has set up, if you're confessing negative things over your life, if you were saying these things, they're going to come to pass.
They have to.
People have to grasp that. And I love that you are such a proponent of that too. And speaking of the world, you've traveled to over 100 countries to train people. Any crazy stories about that? I mean, you think about people from all over the world do this system. Any crazy traveling stories or?
Yeah, man. I've been, like I said again, I've been to 106 countries training people. In some countries, you always gonna get challenges. People always want to challenge you in certain ways. I just think that because I was built up in the Word, it gives me the opportunity to, I don't like to get in scuffles, but sometimes you have to put people in their place, right? And there have been times where I had to put people in their place, but at the end, it turned out good because then the person realizes, what needs to be done and they make a change, so, but as far as countries, like I've been to South Africa, I got a chance to do something I never thought I'd be able to do, go down into a gold mine. Who would ever think I'd go down into a gold mine? It took us like almost a half an hour to get down into the mine. They took us around, been into diamond mines. I got a chance to see so many different things. And then to be able to teach people that you can't even speak the language, to me, it's awesome because it shows that if what you have has God in it, it will talk to everybody. And that's what happened with Tybo. Who would ever think it would be in all these countries? I just did a certification online. I created a certification program, right? Mm-hmm. Online certification, only because of COVID. If it wasn't for that, I would have never created this program. Right? Because I didn't believe that online programs would work well. I always saw that when people did online programs, the instructors don't work out and you really don't know what they look like. So you were going to let your program get watered down and then next thing you know, it's gone. But because of the COVID, I was in the house for almost 4 months. I was like, God spoke to me and said, Billy, create an online program that's going to help people. So I got up and I started working out and I started shooting a video every day on how to help people become a good teacher in Tybo. And I opened the program up last month and I was like, I can't believe how many people signed up for the program. And I have been teaching Tybo for a long time. And one of my managers said, Billy, you got more people signed up for this online program than what you did in 1 year for the Tybo regular me traveling around the country teaching. And then what was so awesome, yesterday I got a chance to meet a lady who've been doing Tybo for 20 years, but she lived in Jordan. All the way from Jordan, she said, you know what, Billy, I always wanted to come, but I wasn't allowed to come to your country. And, you know, because of Tybo, we have to cover up our bodies. And because the women in your video had their stomach showing, the legs showing, so I had to put things on their bodies so people could see their skin. But we did it for 20 years, and it was the only thing that helped me mentally, physically, and spiritually to help me lose weight and get in shape. And now you offer this program. It gave me the opportunity to she became certified yesterday. And she sat there and she cried, right? Because she says, my dream was to meet you. And I didn't meet you physically, but God gave me a chance to meet you on screen here, on the virtual reality wise, right? And you helping me change my life. And that's how awesome God is, man. I can't get away from talking about how God has powered up Tybo and powered myself up, kept me healthy, kept me strong to be able to do the things that I'm doing.
It's fantastic. And speaking of this whole online concept, you are offering a free workout series on YouTube called In the Living Room with Billy Blanks. Can you tell us more about that?
Well, I created the program because, you know, I wasn't allowed. We got kicked out of my own gym. I have a gym. And we got kicked out of our gym. They got shut down. You can't work out in gyms. So I shut that down. So I said, I have to work with my clients. And, I went to a Bible study one night, and this lady spoke to me and said, Billy, God told me to tell you to create this program. So I ended up creating this program. I got in my living room. I started teaching. First thing I did was teach my wife and daughter. I said, what, I'm teaching my wife and daughter. Let's just, Tybo started in the basement. Let me create a program where everybody got a living room, get everybody in their living room, let them work out. Started off with a 10-minute workout. That's what we did first, and eventually it kicked up to 30-minute workout. And then I just switch it. I always switch it around. I give them 5 minutes. I'll give them 10 minutes. I give them 30 minutes. I give them an hour. But it started off just like that, and then eventually I just said, you know what? People like to meet my wife. I know people like to meet my daughter, my sister, my other daughters. So I bring all my family in the living room and we work out. And people they love the opportunity to be invited in our living room as well as they invite me into their living room, right? So it was a program that whoever thought it was going to take off. You know what I mean? Just if you touch the heart of a person, and I didn't do it for the money. I did it because I wanted to help people. And I wanted people to feel the power that God has put inside of me and put inside my daughter, my wife, and anybody that I brought inside my house. And then along the way, I wanted people to say, inside your own house, look at the peace and joy that when you work out, you bring it inside your house. Because during this time now, people are getting divorces, people are going through all kind of things, right? Because they can't find the peace that they need. Most people don't like being at home. They're in their home, they can't even leave it, right? I've been in this place for 4 months. I haven't taught a live class for almost 4 months. Only class that I've taught is online here. And for me, it was the best thing that could ever happen to me. I got a chance to see my wife more, got a chance to spend time with my daughter. I got a chance to just do things that I never thought would happen. And then God had me pull stuff off the shelf. Stuff that, how you put stuff up on the shelf, He give you something to do, you put it up on the shelf, take that off the shelf. This is the stuff I'm talking about. And now look, I think being in this position has made it better for me. Now I can teach anywhere around the world on Zoom. I can teach anywhere around the world. And along the way, you have to make your program good. I worked on it every day, all the way for these 4 months. I worked on it every day to try to make sure that when people turned it on, they was going to get good music, there was a good education, and they were going to have a lot of fun.
Man, that is amazing. And I think there's just something, the connection, the power of connection when you come into somebody's living room, like you're saying, and they're coming into your living room. There's a connection that, you can't, it goes beyond, fitness. It goes beyond what we're talking about. Tell us a little more about Boomboxing. That's one of the newest things. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, Boomboxing is an exercise that, that I have been training with. I trained with Sugar Ray Leonard, worked out with Evander Holyfield. All these boxers used to come into my studio. So I said, you know what? I'm going to take what they all do, and I'm going to put it together into a program. Because nobody ever took boxing and brought it to music. They would have music in the background, but they wouldn't use music to drive the class. So I took it, and I started making it drive the class. Everything would be done to a beat. And I said, let me take something from Larry Holmes. Let me take something from George Foreman, something from Sugar Ray Leonard, Muhammad Ali, all these different boxers. Let me take something that people like to see, and I put it into a routine and made it a workout that people were like, whoa, especially women and guys. Guys don't really like to do choreography things. They want to do things that they can pick up really fast. So I said, let me put all these combinations together so people can do it, have a great workout, and have some fun at the same time. Feel like a boxer, train like a fighter, feel like a fighter. Only thing they don't do is go in the ring. But I tell them, cool. I say, look, when you get up every morning, what do you got to do? You got to fight for life. If you don't fight for life, then you'll have a hard time. I say, even Jesus, at his best, had to fight for life. He had to fight, because people at that time was trying to get rid of Jesus before Jesus was supposed to be getting rid of. So he had to run and hide. He had to do all sorts of things before he went to that cross. And then when he went to the cross, it was something they shouldn't have done. But he went to the cross, and when he went to the cross, that gave us all life, and that makes it awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's so cool that the fact that people feel empowered. There's something, whether it's kickboxing or boxing, there's something empowering about that warrior spirit that kind of takes over with people. And I think that's one of the reasons it's so popular, is that people feel like they're not just working out, they feel empowered, like they've done something for themselves and that they could defend themselves if they needed to.
Just like you said. You know what happens to women when they box? That warrior, that unknown warrior is unlocked. They unlock the unknown warrior. They go, wow, I didn't think I could do that. Whoa, I can do. And even guys, they do things that they never thought they can do. And the next thing you know, you're empowering them and you're giving them an opportunity to be their best. That's why I said boomboxing would be a great exercise. And I said, let me take the word boom. The boom box you walk around with? Mm-hmm. We used to have a boom box. I said, people like to listen to music, so let me call it boomboxing. Use that boom box to drive the boxing to help people get in the best shape they can get in.
Oh, that rocks. I love that. So what's it like being the host of the TV show Celebrity Sweat? How are you enjoying that?
It is awesome because we get a chance to travel around the country, inspire people, talk to them about how to get themselves in good shape. And like I said again, physical fitness was a tool that gave me a good education on how to help people. One for physical fitness, I couldn't read well. I couldn't do many things. But now I get a chance with Celebrity Sweat to go around the world, go inside celebrities' homes and show everyday people that celebrities are nothing but everyday people. These are things that they do. What makes a celebrity is people. If people didn't buy their books or go to the movies or go buy tickets to watch basketball, they would not be a celebrity. So I said, it's nice to be able to have a celebrity come in my studio or you be around a celebrity, but just know that you're the one who gave them the opportunity to be who they are. They have to have some skills and they have to show their work, but people make people.
That's great. Let me ask you this. If people are interested in starting their fitness journey, we have people from all walks here. So we've got, professional athletes all the way down to people just getting started that are probably listening. If somebody's just getting started into fitness and they want to get into Tybo, where should they start?
Well, if they want to get into Tybo, all they have to do is they can go to the YouTube channel. They work out with me on the YouTube channel because I'm always teaching people on the YouTube channel. Or they can go to billyblanks.com and they could see where I am around the world. They'll see my virtual classes. If they want to get involved in taking my classes, they can try it anytime they want to try it. I just think that if a person wants to get into a fitness program, even if it's outside of Tybo, they want to do this a fitness program. I think one of the most important things about fitness is when you get into a fitness program, make sure at the same time that you do it, you build your confidence up. What happens with people, they do fitness too fast and they get sore and then they quit and they give up because the confidence is not built up. Some people don't want to go to gyms because they don't have the confidence that they need to push through. So I always tell people, start off slow. With Tybo, I'm going to always start you off slow. I'm going to say, don't try to do a whole hour class. Do a 10-minute, 5-minute class. Build up your confidence. And the more you build your confidence up, the more you're going to start wanting to add to it. And the more you start adding, the next thing you know, you're on your way. And then I say to people, don't try to build yourself up from the outside first. Build yourself up from the inside. I say this out loud, have people say this out loud when they work out with me. Say, I look and act like my mind and will. I ask them to say it again. I look and act like my mind and will. Then I say it like this. I look and act like my body. I say that's how most people are. That's why they quit. They get discouraged and they quit. No, you have a mind, you have a will. Make your mind and will take your body back and do the things that you need to do to help you be the best you can be.
Yeah, and that really hits a big thing, whether it's the words that you're confessing, whether it's giving, whether it's working out. Consistency is a must. You know, people say, well, I tried this, it didn't work. Well, you have to do it on a daily basis. Our confessions, our giving, our relationship with God, working out, whatever it may be, it has to be consistent. And I think that's what's great about Tybo, is it's something that people can be consistent in and they can grow in. There's always another level for people that you can take them.
Right. And you know what you just said there was important too? You said two things that was really important. And that's why I say death and life is in the power of your tongue. I listen to what you said. I go, wow, that's powerful. When you said the try, people try this, people try that. But in order for you to be able to be successful in anything, you got to do what? Just do it.
Yep.
Not trying. Trying has no power. So you, like what you just said, you explained it right. Everybody should hear what you just said. Because if you take out the word try, I said, how many times in the Bible do you see the word try? Only one time. God says, try me. Watch and see what I'll do to your life. God says, do it. He don't say try, do it. But he can't make people come to him. That's why he said, try me. Watch and see what I do for you.
Love it. Well, a couple of quick questions here, two-parter. What's next for Billy Blanks, and is there anything else that you would like to share?
Well, what's next for Billy Blanks is open up the door and allow God to move in his life. And ask God, I always ask God, okay, God, what are we doing today? What are we doing? And I'm inspired. See, some people might not like to hear me talk about God, but I always ask God, come on, you gave me a creative mind. You give me what I have. So, okay, what do you want me to do next? Then somebody will show up. God will send somebody to you. Billy, you should do this. Billy, or something will come to my mind. And then I'll say, you know what? This is what I'm going to be doing next. This is what I believe God wants me to do. So I'm going to do it. But my main important thing is to get people to know that they have to go from the inside out. I don't tell people what to believe in. I just say, they ask me, why do you do what you do? I say, well, Jesus Christ is Lord of our life. If you want to get some information, I always ask people, can I read the Bible for 1 second? Everybody go, yeah, go ahead and read it. So then I read things in there, and I'm not pushy on people. So where preachers can't go, I'm a physical fitness coach. I can go because I can use fitness to inspire people. And then they ask me, what keeps me inspired? How come you don't never look like you down? I said, well, because I have Jesus in my life. If Jesus is walking with me, then I ain't going to be down because he's the finisher of everything. So I'm going to use that to my advantage and help people. Right? And if I wanted people to hear what I had to say, you say, what do you want people to hear? If you have anything to say, I would say, guys, listen, like opportunity of a lifetime, like this TV show that we're doing right now, this podcast that we're doing right now. I think it's truly a blessing that people get a chance to know that people like yourself, interviewers like yourself, ask awesome questions to get good things out of people so they can really help people. I think it's a blessing to be on your show because I get a chance to really let people see that I'm a real person, I'm a man, and I'm going to let you see I have vulnerabilities. I love God. I put God first. I love my family, and I want to help people. I want to see people have good days.
Well, thank you so much, Billy Blanks, for investing in all of our listeners today. I feel like it was a true investment, sharing your heart, your passion, your faith. Thanks for being on the show. Again, I want to thank our sponsors, ZionMissionaryChurch.net and NeuroPowerSource.com. Our podcast producer, Drew Kiespert, video director, Jolynn Thomas, head of talent relations, Mr. Fairfax Hackley. Be sure to rate us and subscribe to the Pressing Limits podcast. For more ways to watch and listen to this podcast, check out the Pressing Limits podcast website.